Go ahead and get started.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Illinois Liquor Control Commission. It is Wednesday, October 13th, 2021. I'm the chair, Cynthia Bird, calling the meeting to order. Let the record reflect it is 1 p.m. Secretary Jairus, please call the roll.
Commissioner Span Cooper,
Here.
Commissioner Gibbons,
Here.
Commissioner Malfa,
Here.
Commissioner O'Connell,
Here.
Commissioner Powell,
Here.
Commissioner Polito Sanchez,
Here.
and Chair Bird.
Here. Item number 2, do I have a motion for the approval of the minutes of the board meeting held on August 18th, 2021?
So moved.
Second. Seconded. Secretary Jairus, could please call the roll.
Commissioner Span Cooper,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbons,
Yes.
Commissioner Malfa,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Powell,
Yes.
Commissioner Polito Sanchez,
Yes.
and Chair Bird.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 3, receive Executive Director Gardner's report.
Good afternoon, everyone. Unless there's some objection, I'm going to take off my mask just to ensure everyone can hear me. Thank you, Chairman Berg, other commissioners, the ILCC staff, as well as other industry stakeholders who may be present or listening in. Just a few housekeeping things. The ILCC will continue to hold in-person meetings pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, and we do continue to welcome any and everyone who would like to join us. Over the past few months, I have met and will continue to meet with stakeholders, legislators, and other special interest groups to ensure that the ILCC continues to meet the industry's needs. Recently, we have spoken and presented to 2 regulatory panels, one hosted by the ABDI and one from the IOBA. We did welcome the opportunity to speak directly to their members and answer their questions, and look forward to continuing to do so with other organizations in the future. As far as operations go, the ILCC move from the Thompson Center to the Daly Center is complete. All major issues have been worked out, and the agency is settling well into our new space. We did open to the public on August 2nd, 2021, this year. Over the past few months since we've been open, we have welcomed over 300 walk-ins during that time frame. While we are happy to be back and available to the public, we do want to continue to encourage new licensees and renewals to apply electronically, which does allow for faster processing. Just a few noteworthy numbers. We've had 219 new licenses issued. That's versus September 2020 versus 320, which was issued in September of 2021. And that's a 46% increase from last year. As far as total licenses goes, in September of 2020, we had 2,137 issued. September of this year, we had 2,311 issued, and that's an 8% increase. To meet the increased need, we are hiring 2 new licensing assistants for our Chicago office. Currently, they are scheduled to begin in November. We are working and planning on hiring another licensed assistant for our Springfield office. So that's currently in the works as well. And these licensing assistants, they're there to ensure that the needs of our licensees are being met. Let's see, all new licensing applications and forms, which were created pursuant to House Bill 2620, have been created and are posted on the website. Let me just remind you that the license renewal extensions will expire on December 31st. There are step-by-step instructions that are provided on the website, and everyone is encouraged to renew early to avoid processing delays. The V12 upgrade, which began in June of last year, was completed in September of 2021. This upgrade requires significant ILCC man hours to complete. However, the ILCC staff has done an amazing job adjusting to the new software. However, the public interface does continue to be problematic for the licensees. To try to combat that, we have created some step-by-step instructions on navigating the new system, and we continue to be available for field questions. Regarding the V12 upgrade, we are continuing to look for a replacement for Gentax. That is the licensing system that's used by our licensing, enforcement, and industry education, as well as legal departments. We are going to be sending out an RFI shortly to see what options are available in the market. Once we get those responses back and have those analyzed, we will be sending out an RFP so we can find a replacement for our current licensing system, which is Gentax. Gentax is a revenue-based system. It wasn't designed for how we're using it, and it has continued to be overly burdensome to utilize, and that's notwithstanding even the V12 upgrade, which created its own set of issues. As far as enforcement goes, the postings for 7 new special agents have been completed. We are excited to report that we have received a high number of applications for each posting. HR is currently processing the applications so they can be moved to the next stage of the hiring process. And it is important to note that we are short-staffed, so we will continue to hire and train new agents until the enforcement division is fully staffed. We're also hiring for underage compliance assistants, and this is to assist with the sale of alcohol to minor investigations. We do need more applicants because many of our applicants are previous UCAs aged out during COVID. So we are currently looking for new applicants. So if anyone knows any young people between the ages of 18 and 19 who are interested in assisting our enforcement division, we do encourage you to have them apply. Information is available on our website. But even while being understaffed, over 1,000 inspections were conducted in September, which resulted in 226 violations total, and 50 new warnings were issued to new licensees. To assist with the licensees, a list of our most common violations can be found on our website. Last but not least, for enforcement, we do continue to receive complaints, which can be received via email, telephone, or anonymously to our online form. Please note that we take complaints very seriously, as we understand we can't be everywhere at all times. So that is an opportunity for licensees who may know of bad actors to call us and give us a heads up so we can go out and investigate. As far as legislation, we do continue to work with both the governor's office as well as legislators on some legislative proposals for veto session and or spring session. Details of those proposals can be found on our website. As far as administrative rules go, we did revise the draft rule for coupons and rebates, and we will be moving forward in the next stage of the rule drafting process regarding those. For legal, there are 23 appeals pending, which are either scheduled or currently being scheduled. We have 35 sale of alcohol to minor cases pending. We do have sale of alcohol to minor settlement conferences currently scheduled in Springfield in the next couple weeks. And we have 6 administrative review items pending, and just to note that the AG's office represents the ILCC for those with our assistance. Also, our advisory opinion request form, we want to continue to encourage the licensees and stakeholders to continue to utilize this resource. AORs are regularly reviewed by ILCC staff to provide guidance towards legal enforcement and licensing issues. Technical inquiries that continue to come by other means, mainly telephone and email, will continue to be steered towards that AOR process just for efficiency's sake. The third quarter newsletter is now available. It has went out via email. It is also posted on our website. Bassett licenses are continuing to be issued. We've issued approximately 62,000 to date. The Industry Education Division continues to provide education. They attended several community events and industry conferences over the last few weeks, and there is a virtual College Town Summit scheduled for October 21st. Educational campaigns on topics such as overserving, licensing basics, inspections, etc., are currently being created and will soon be available on our website. That's information that's going to be useful to everyone in the industry, and we look forward to that. The audit is still ongoing and will continue to be going on through the month of November. We have and will continue to timely provide our responses to their requests. Let's see. There is a Chief of Internal Affairs job description that's currently being approved by CMS. Once approved, we will be moving forward with posting and hiring for that position as well. As far as human resources goes, we did finalize our telework policy, and it is currently being utilized by our staff. The IFPE staff, they do continue to be in the office full-time. That's the licensing division. All remaining staff are in the office on a hybrid schedule, and the telework policy is currently being negotiated by AXME and our office. That completes my reports, and I am available for questions.
Thank you, Director.
Thank
Any
you.
questions for our Director? All right. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 4, receive division reports. I believe the first is enforcement from Les Peterson.
Good afternoon, everybody. The director covered quite a few of the statistics, but I will just, if you'll draw your attention to the flyer that's in the back of the September's agenda, that is what we're trying to do for the recruitment for the underage compliant detail. For August, it's kind of interesting that most of the complaints that we received were the sales of minors, illegal importation, and no valid license. The following month, that was nudged out by overserving. So the complaints of people being overserved at a facility or a licensed location was nudged them out, and I thought that was kind of interesting. The online complaints that the online monitoring is continuing, and we're doing, I think, a fantastic job covering that. The only other thing that I'll have to bring up here, or that I think is pretty interesting, is on investigations number 3, that the special agent was contacted by by the police department and was having issues with an unlicensed private club. The location was advertising their activities as bring your own beverage on social media, and they were making their own pre-mixed beverages. And as you remember the last time we met, I showed you some information about what's going on in the world, how people that are making these beverages are also hurting and killing people. So this is obviously something that we wanted to take a look at. They were selling tickets for alcoholic drinks. The police department was receiving noise complaints, increased calls for service, including shootings. With the assistance from our agent, the police department was able to secure a felony warrant against the owner of the private club. Prior to the warrant being served, another shooting occurred in which the individual running the business was critically injured. The case is currently pending in the circuit court. I bring this up in the notable investigations because all these cases are just great examples of the enforcement division working with other agencies to ensure the health, safety, and welfare of everyone in Illinois. But everything else was covered, so if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
What region of the state is investigation number 3? Northern Illinois, Central?
South,
South, okay.
quite south, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to industry education from Michelle Flagg.
Good afternoon. The director went over a lot of what we're doing with regards to industry education. some highlights. You have a copy of the newsletter that went out to licensees, as well as anyone that subscribes to receive notifications or communication from the ILCC. The College Town Summit is scheduled for October 21st. And again, you can register for that at this time. And we're also having a server training on the topic of human trafficking, and that will be October 28th. With regards to Hispanic Heritage Month, we interviewed 2 business owners that are in the industry, and both of those interviews are on our YouTube channel. And those are the highlights, and that concludes my report. I'll answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions for Michelle? All right, thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, next up, legal report from Noel Quack.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I think the biggest news is that the Lebomov case, which was set for hearing at the end of September, the plaintiffs voluntarily agreed to dismiss their complaint, and they did that on August 26th. So that one is now gone. I suspect we will see another case like that in the not too distant future, but you never know. And just yesterday, the Supreme Court refused to take up the Sarasota wine case against Missouri, which is good news as far as I'm concerned. We have been working on whittling away at the legal cases. We had 150 of those pending at the end of August. That is now down to 125. Pre-disciplinary conferences, that was at 82 cases at the end of August. We're now down to 69 there. And the sale of alcohol to minors cases, the director mentioned that we had 35 of those. It's actually a little bit less than that. Some of those for reasons that had to do with our recent software update got sent to officers in compromise and actually accepted those. So we're back down to about 30 sale of alcohol to minor cases. And as the director mentioned, we are having a SAM settlement conference next week in Springfield. So we'll deal with 25 or 26 of those cases then. Let's see. We do have a tentative appeal hearing calendar out for 2022, and we're going to load it up a little bit more than we have in the past here. Hopefully, we're going to be hearing 3 cases each time instead of 2. You may have noticed that some of your names have appeared next to those hearings. That's all really tentative. We just assign them to make sure that everybody kind of is getting an equitable number of those cases. And of course, if it doesn't work for your schedules, you're welcome to switch that up a little bit. We do have, I believe, 2 cases set for hearing on December 8th. They're both on the records, and I believe that we only have one commissioner, Commissioner Lamalfa, signed up for those. So we are looking for one more volunteer to hear those cases on the 8th of December.
Are those in-person cases?
No, those will be on the record, so we can do those via WebEx. We do have a number of de novo cases coming up at the end of the month. One of those scheduled for October 26th. It appears that the local and the licensee are going to be settling. So that case is now taken off the call, and hopefully they will actually settle it. The other one, which is set for hearing on October 20th, we have gotten a request from the city to reschedule that. They didn't really give us a record or a reason why they wanted to. They just had kind of a vague email about pressing matters. So we're going to be meeting with them, I think it's Friday, Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, to go over preliminaries for the hearing, see if they are actually going to file a motion asking for a continuance. But right now that is still scheduled for hearing. The administrative review matters that we have, as the director mentioned, there are 6 of those cases being handled by the Attorney General's office. They are all in various states of briefing schedules or setting the matters for hearing, but we haven't heard anything new on any of those. We did, I guess since last time we met for the August meeting, we did have our people go to a couple of conferences, the ABDI conference and the ILBA conference, as well as there was a third one that I went to, and it was so memorable, I can't tell you what it was. And that pretty much wraps up what I have for you, unless you have some questions.
I mean, on the cases, I know the trend is going the right way, which is great to hear. How are you feeling about them otherwise, do you think? So what I didn't hear is like, what is our normal caseload, for example? So when we said we were at 150, or for a certain category, we're like at 125, but where are we normally?
You know,
to get a sense of how.
I think I'll have Rick or Avi answer that. I don't have a good enough idea from my 2 months or plus here. So if one of you guys would care to field that question?
Sure. We're usually in around the 100 or so active cases at any one time.
Okay.
So we're not that far off of it.
I did just look up October of 2019, and we are pretty much exactly where we were then. As a reference point, my 2-year mark here, so I thought I would just see with COVID, and there we are, and it's almost identical.
Oh,
so
good to know.
I think we're on the same page. So, luckily. No, are we doing the tax cases now, or?
Yeah, we do have those. We could either wait,
Are they on the agenda?
well, on the,
Like which part of the meeting? Are they under this, usually they were under legal prior to this, and we haven't had one for like a year.
yeah, so we could either handle those right now, or if you wanted to wait until the appeals section, we could do those then. Whatever.
We can do it during the appeals, is that okay with everyone?
Okay,
Okay, we'll do that. Thank you so much.
very
for your
good,
work.
thank you.
Appreciate it. And licensing division, Ms. Tushanka Marzan. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, Chair, Commissioner, and industry representatives. Director Gardner went over quite a bit of our licensing statistics for this past month, and I just want to highlight a few items. The walk-ins, we've had approximately 300 walk-ins for both offices since we reopened. Our licensees still continue to utilize the online renewal options, the electronic options, which is great to see. But having that option to have our offices open and for licensees to submit applications in person is also important. As far as the numbers and who is submitting them in person, it is new retailer applications and our special event licensees. Want to touch base in reference to our special event licenses and our figures for that. I remember Commissioner LaMalfa a few meetings ago had asked the question, what were our pre-pandemic numbers for special events? And in 2019, we had 5,516 licenses, special event licenses issued. 2020, 1,021. Now we're in 2022, and the trend is going up. Great to hear, 2,134 we've issued so far in 2021. We're not at our pre-pandemic numbers, but it is good to see our special event organizers starting to submit these applications, and we are issuing these licenses. One concern I do have is, a lot of these special event organizers are submitting these very last minute. Our staff is doing a tremendous job in getting these issued right away. We understand they're very time sensitive, but I'm working with Director Gardner on a plan next year to try to get these applications in sooner from the local jurisdictions. So we've kind of, talked about it briefly, and hopefully next year we'll have, better timing as far as receiving these, so the staff isn't scrambling trying to get these done for the organizers.
As far as that's concerned, do you have a sense of whether those local commissioners are the ones holding up the process, or is it really that they're getting them late? I mean, I'm sure it's a combination of both.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It is a combination of both, but in most cases, it's the local jurisdictions not approving them until the very last minute. And that's very challenging. Another obstacle that we're probably running into when we cease the late fees due to the pandemic, licensees, there's no late fee to submit a special event currently. The late fees do go back into effect January 1st of 22. So I think that also helped contribute to getting these in so late. So hopefully next year, once the late fees are back on, we probably will get these sooner. And the late fee, we have to receive the application 14 days in advance in order for the ILCC not to charge the $25 late fee across the board. So I think that was an absolute factor as well, too.
The late fee is assessed on the consumer.
Yeah, and the special event, right, yeah, special event applicants. So any not-for-profits or any bar or restaurant that's having a special event, they're assessed a $25 late fee.
Ms. Jones, I have a question.
Yes.
How long does it take, is it 30 days? How much in advance do they apply? Ordinarily.
Yeah, Commissioner, most of our special event organizers, they do generally try to apply anywhere from 30 to 60 days in advance. That's what we would like to see. An average is really probably 2 weeks. And we can handle those, that's fine. The problem we are having is the day of, the day before, or a couple of days before. That is the challenge. We probably, just today may have received 4 for events that are this upcoming weekend. And a lot of times these are special event organizers, these are new volunteers. With the pandemic, they've had to even these special event organizers have run into some challenges, which we do understand. But, it's been difficult for us, and we've gotten them out, but hopefully next year we're able to get these a little sooner, and we'll work with the local jurisdictions. We had several meetings. I had a meeting with DuPage County representatives and clerks a couple of weeks ago. Went very well, and that was one of the items I discussed with the group. The importance of getting the local approvals as soon as possible so we can get the applications in and we can get the licenses issued. And it's challenging for the distributors as well because they need the state license in order to be able to deliver the product to the event. So I think we're all going to work together next year and try to, hopefully we'll get these a little sooner.
Shaka,
yes.
Is it fair to assume that they're planning ththese events before they get their licenses?
I think
So you can't plan an event.
right. Yeah, no, they do.
The day before.
Yeah. A lot of times, I think with the pandemic, they weren't sure with all the different regulations and rules and what it was changing. It changed from day to day. So I think, a lot of the organizers weren't sure if they were going to really go through with the event. So they kind of did wait until the last minute in some cases. But, you know, I think moving forward, it's very important that the local jurisdictions, I think, work with us too to make sure they get them issued as soon as possible, and have what they need to get, you know, the local licenses approved. Director Gardner touched base on the V12 system upgrade. I wanted to kind of summarize the impact of a project like that. We have these large system upgrades every 3 to 5 years, and there's a lot involved. And the system we share, the GenTax and the MyTax system is shared with 3 agencies. The Illinois Department of Revenue, Illinois Department of Employment Security, IDES, there's a division of IDES that utilizes GenTax, and the Illinois Liquor Control Commission. This project started in June of 2020. There was quite a bit of testing involved. And the challenge we ran into is with HB 2620, Public Act 1020442. When that passed, we had to really reroute things because the system was already programmed. And any changes we made, we had to ensure that they did not impact Illinois Department of Revenue programming or the Illinois Department of Employment Security. And today I really, really want to make sure that I thank Kenny Williams, Zoll Jones, and Tara Womack, who is part of the testing group. We worked tirelessly to get this, these changes implemented on time. I had to communicate with the Department of Revenue, Chief of Staff, to ensure that we were able to get our part done, because it was going to delay this rollout that would have impacted the Illinois Department of Revenue and the Illinois Department of Employment Security. So I do want to thank my team members who really, we all worked together to get that done. It was very challenging, and thank you, Director Gardner, for assisting me with some of those additional resources that I needed from IT to get this accomplished. That being said, just to kind of give you some numbers regarding the Class 3 brewers, we've issued 2 so far. I have 6 pending. A few of them are pending due to the 45-day posting period. So the Class 3 brewers, basically, it's a lot of our brew pubs are transitioning to the Class 3 brewers. A brew pub makes beer. They sell their beer, other beers, wines, and spirits. They wanted the ability to self-distribute. So some of them are converting to the Class 3 brewer's license, where they can do everything they did as a brew pub, but now they can self-distribute. So that's where majority of the applications are coming from, the brew pub. Those that have brew pubs, they're transitioning over to the Class 3 brewer's license. Beer showcase permit, I haven't received any of those just yet. Director Gardner touched on the license renewal extensions. Want to stress the importance that our licensees do not wait until the last minute to renew their licenses. It's very, very important that they begin the process as soon as possible. We sent out our first email reminder October 4th. The next email reminder will go out in November, and then the final email reminder will go out in December. Roughly, based on my report and the figures, we're looking at about 25% of our licensees that have not yet renewed. It's subject to change in the next upcoming months, but we will continue to communicate with our licensees the best that we can. Reference to personnel matters, we have 2 vacancies in our Chicago office. I worked with HR, Laveris Jefferson. We did interviews from September 9th through September 15th. 1 candidate has been confirmed, and hopefully we'll confirm the other candidate that we had selected. We also have a vacancy in our Springfield office that we will be filling hopefully very, very shortly. And I did want to mention, when I provide you with my reports, I refer to SQRs. Those are our IT reports, and that is the Structured Query Report, just so you know what that acronym is for. Structured Query Report. You may not remember it, that's okay, but I'll continue to remind you if you have any questions. Sorry, very long report. There was a lot to cover. Thank you, Director Gardner, for handling the statistics portion of it, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
I do have one quick question. Can you remind us again what all it means to self-distribute?
Sure. That means you as a manufacturer can sell the product that you manufactured to other retailers. That is, if I'm a brew pub, I have the ability to sell my beer to the bar restaurant down the street. I can sell it directly to them instead of going through a distributor.
And does that include retail locations, so can they sell at venues?
Absolutely correct, yes.
Back to the special events, problem. Is it possible that they're coming in very, very late because they're afraid that they may have to cancel and they'll lose the application fee?
That could be possible because we had some of those happen and we've had to refund the fees.
Oh, you
That's
do refund?
yes, we do. Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Then that takes away the rest.
yes. As long as they reach out to us and let us know, request the refund. They'd have to request it from us. We can initiate a refund. Absolutely. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, item number 5, receive state of the industry report. Please welcome Illinois Restaurant Association speaker, Mr. Sam Toya.
Yay.
We saw the Sox game, you were on TV.
Yeah, I was. Yes, I got quite a few texts that evening. At least we won that evening.
I know,
So.
you chose wisely.
Anyway, thank you for having me here today, Chairman Berg and Director Gardner, and members of the commission for giving me the opportunity to present today. I'm Sam Toya, President and CEO of the Illinois Restaurant Association. We are a nonprofit trade association dedicated to promoting, protecting, educating, and improving the restaurant and hospitality industry here in Illinois. We serve all facets of the industry, from chef-driven restaurants, neighborhood spots, quick service, bars, breweries, caterers, iconic brands, food trucks, and everything in between. We also have a wide array of associate members that serve the industry: distributors, attorneys, insurance providers, equipment suppliers, accountants, professional services, and more. Our association is comprised of about 9,000 participating restaurants here in the state of Illinois. Before the pandemic, there was over 24,000 food and beverage locations throughout the state. Throughout the Illinois, it's been really tough, and we do a lot for the industry, like training and certification classes, educational foundation, and events we host throughout the year to serve the needs of the industry and support its future. We work to provide restaurant operators and suppliers in Illinois with valuable business services, networking opportunities, cost-saving programs, and vital advocacy. Our education department works in collaboration with the National Restaurant Association and ServSafe to train and certify restaurant staff and managers in areas such as food handler, sanitation manager, facet, allergen awareness, and sexual harassment. We host classes year-round at the IR office in Chicago and provide on-site training for larger groups in different areas of the state. Our membership department works to grow the association and provide direct services and networking opportunities to industry professionals. Some of our yearly membership events include Meet the Expert, which is our annual power networking and speed coaching event for operators and vendors to share best practices. Our events team at the IRA produces our annual meeting of membership, manages the food and beverage operation at the Taste of Chicago, and puts on our annual golf outing, and hosts our Chef's Table Gala, which raises money in support for the IRA Educational Foundation. The IRA owns and produces Chicago Gourmet, the annual food and wine festival held in Millennium Park that unites hundreds of restaurants, chefs, and beverage experts for a weekend filled with food and drink tasting, entertainment, cooking demonstration, book signing, interactive seminars, and more. I say it's the best food and wine show in the country. I don't care what they say in Pebble Beach or South Beach. We have it right here in Chicago. The association is also a proud host of the James Beard Foundation Awards, which will be held in Chicago through 2027 and celebrates excellence in cuisine, culinary writing, and culinary education throughout the country. The IRA Educational Foundation is our 501c3 dedicated to building and promoting the health and prosperity of the industry by investing in our youth and our workforce through initiatives centered around ProStart program, career exploration, job readiness training, and yearly scholarships. Since its inception, the IRAEF has given out more than $3.2 million in scholarship to high schoolers pursuing culinary arts and hospitality management. The IRA is led by our officers, board of directors, and advisory council, which is comprised of a group of hospitality leaders and allied members that represents the diversity of our industry. Advocacy is also a core of our association as we work to protect the interest of the restaurant industry in Illinois on various legislative and regulatory issues. During the COVID-19 crisis, the IRA has worked 24/7 to protect and support restaurants so they can survive now and thrive in the future. Before COVID-19, our association represented the largest private sector employer here in the state of Illinois, with over 594,000 people employed, with over 25,000 eating and drinking establishments, as I brought up before. I speak in the past tense because restaurants and bars have been hit particularly hard over the past 19 months, as we were the first to close for indoor service and all likelihood will be the last to fully reopen and recover. We know that we are still down 74,000 food service jobs in Illinois compared to August 2019. We are still gauging how many restaurants have closed in Illinois. The National Restaurant Association predicts that 20% could close. That would be 4,800 restaurants. But we do know that more than 90,000 restaurants have closed nationwide in the past year. Restaurants have been through hell and back with indoor dining shutdowns, reduced capacity, mounting debits, loss of team members, and more. Now with vaccines, no capacity restrictions, full reopening, outdoor dining, and a good summer of warm weather, there's some light at the end of the tunnel. But it's still going to be a very long road to recovery, especially with colder weather approaching. The latest mask mandate due to the spread of Delta have shown that the pandemic is far from behind us. Restaurants' top priorities continue and always is the health and safety of our guests and team members. The state mask mandate was a pragmatic approach that allows restaurants to remain fully open and safely serve diners across Illinois. Our industry simply can't afford to slide backwards into further mitigations. To stay open on a path to recover, we truly need everyone to do their part by getting vaccinated, masking up, and taking necessary precaution. Covered faces keep open places. Our latest state industry impact survey results show some concerning trends for Illinois. 72% of Illinois operators say their sales volume in August 2021 was lower than it was August 2019. 69% say business conditions for their restaurants are worse than they were 3 months ago. 90% say their restaurants experience a decline in customers and demand for indoor on-premise dining in recent weeks. 75% say their restaurant currently does not have enough employees to support its existing customer demand. 92% say their total food costs as a percentage of sales are higher than they were prior to the COVID-19 outbreak. 84% say their profit margin is lower than it was prior to COVID-19. 25% think it will be 7 to 12 months before business conditions return to normal. Well, 45% think it will be more than a year. An additional 21% don't think they'll never see numbers go back to normal. That's 2018, 2019 numbers. So restaurants are eager to get their businesses running the way they were designed to, with full occupancy, a full team in place, and the ability to offer relaxed, enjoyable experience to locals and visitors alike. By getting back to 100% normal, it's not like flipping a light switch, especially with the staffing challenges everywhere. It started out as a medical pandemic, now it's an occupational pandemic. We're on a path to rebuild the industry for sure, but it's going to take time, and we still need help to get there. Since the pandemic began, the IRA has been 100% focused on providing support, guidance, and relief to restaurant and hospitality operators and their employees across Illinois. We created a pro bono legal networking and dining design consultant network for operators, discounted job boards, and we're doing frequent educational webinars with experts on expanding business, grant opportunities, marketing best practices, supporting employees, and much more. Over the past 2 months, we assisted small business in applying for Illinois Back to Business grants on a regular basis. Additionally, we launched our IRA-EF Employee Relief Fund last fall to help industry workers in need. We've given over $270,000 so far in $500 grants to over 550 recipients. We also expanded the mission of the fund by beyond COVID-19 to provide assistance to any food service worker facing hardship. On the advocacy side, we have pushed for restoring and maintaining safe indoor dining, expanding outdoor dining options, passing cocktails to go, extending permits, capping fees that delivery services can charge on to restaurants, and more. We continue to work with stakeholders around the country and the National Restaurant Association to get Congress to replenish the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. The initial $28.6 billion in funding was quickly exhausted, and more than 170,000 restaurants were shut out of the fund. We always knew RRF was a solid down payment, but it's not enough to cover the urgent needs of the entire industry. So about a third of the restaurants that applied got the grant from RRF, 2/3 did not. We've got to get Congress to finish the mission of RRF for thousands of restaurants that were left behind. Another universal issue facing restaurants is staffing. This isn't just an Illinois problem or even a national problem. It's a worldwide issue for restaurants. It's a complicated issue. We lost team members to other industries like distribution and cannabis while we were shut down for indoor service. There were enhanced stimulus support, lack of childcare options, closed schools. It is also very competitive, so restaurants are working to attract workers with higher wages, benefits, and more. We appreciate the state expanding childcare access to help address that issue. And of course, prioritizing restaurants and bars in the Back to Business Grant Program. We really appreciate that. Now, I'd like to commend the ILCC for really stepping up over the past year and a half to work with our industry to provide regulatory relief whenever possible. It's been greatly appreciated by our members, extending licensing terms, gave some much needed breathing room to operators. Having that needed flexibility on the retail delinquency list and the ability to set up payment plans when folks need it most was crucially important. Getting cocktails to go past and implemented was a pragmatic reform that really benefits everyone, guests, restaurants, distributors, and manufacturers. Another key program we worked on was allowing credit card payments between retailers and distributors. That saves time and streamlines process for everyone involved. I know many wine and spirits distributors have begun implementing those payment processes and will continue to encourage that. Moving forward, we appreciate ILCC reinforcing the current regulations communication to liquor license on your website and in your posted guidance and FAQs. Throughout 2020 and early 2021, ILCC had posted an extensive breakdown of different FAQs and guidance on various issues. Much of that information was removed at this point, which is understandable, as many prior regulations are no longer in effect. However, having a more extensive FAQ for operators to reference would be helpful as it relates to common issues like filing special events permits, donations of product, local liquor license laws to be aware of. For example, with the law change to allow credit card processing between distributors and retailers, I don't believe that information is easily found on the ILCC website. The IRA shared information about the law when it passed, and we did see it featured in an ILCC newsletter. But having that sort of information more permanently laid out on the ILCC website would make it easier for retailers to navigate. I always say communication is the key to success. So I asked the ILCC to keep that level of clear communication to ensure that restaurants and bars can easily find that information they are looking for on the ILCC site after 19 months of ever-evolving regulations. More clearly laying out the how-tos on various license types for retailers, perhaps in a clear one-pager or graphic, could be beneficial. Things like having explainers on how ILCC works through the My Tax Illinois portal now could also be very helpful. Another issue we hope to be able to address is the ability for distributors to be able to donate outdoor dining equipment and supplies to retailers or local chambers that serve restaurants and bars. This is an issue the IRA was working on in 2020. And I know there were some concerns about value restrictions and maintaining a level playing field between different distributors. We hope to be able to work with ILCC and the General Assembly to come up with creative solutions there. Outdoor dining is going to continue to be an essential offering as we approach colder weather. It lets restaurants serve more customers safely and gives some customers peace of mind to be in an outdoor space. If we can find a way for distributors to be able to donate tents, domes, heaters, and other necessary supplies in a fair and well-regulated way, it would go a long way to help independent restaurants this winter. I know the Commission also was interested in the IRA's perspective on cannabis. We've remained cautiously optimistic about legalized cannabis in Illinois. Obviously, there's been a massive boost for state tax revenue so far. Our hope is it will contribute to our economy as a sustained tourism driver. And more visitors means more guests in beds, more diners in seats. So we appreciate that. The safety of our customer employees is always our top concern, as I mentioned before. Of course, all alcohol servers in Illinois are trained in responsible alcohol service, but adding cannabis into the mix can change patrons' levels of intoxication drastically. So the hospitality industry is mindful of that. When questions about dual consumptions have come up in the past, our immediate concerns are related to safety, liability, and training. Having the three-tier system in place, similar to alcohol, is definitely the approach for cannabis, we feel. It's really hard to say when things will be really bad for the industry at 2019 numbers. In Illinois, it's all about conventions, tourism, and culinary tourism. Heads in beds and diners in seats. Until we really get office workers and conventions back, it's going to be particularly tough for restaurants in downtown and commercial areas who are all waiting on office spaces to fill back up. Moving forward, operators are reevaluating their business models, top to bottom, trying to be more efficient and maximize space. Restaurants have started more delivery, takeout, meal kits, subscription service, demos, and often multi-concept inside the same restaurants. Operators exploring new concepts, deciding what works and what doesn't work. You'll also see a new group of entrepreneurs coming up and using restaurant space in innovative ways. And third-party delivery is not going anywhere. Restaurants with big off-premise businesses are thinking about how to be efficient, how to quickly get their orders out the door. Ghost kitchens and virtual restaurants are growing popularity as well. Folks are using ghost kitchens for delivery-only orders to reach communities they have never served before. Restaurants are also creating virtual restaurants entirely online, either existing brick and mortar. So if I own a Sam's Italian and decide to create a virtual concept like Sam's Burger, I run it out of the same existing Sam's Italian kitchen. Now, we have some concerns about ghost kitchen service, like when they don't partner with brick and mortars, and we're working to address those moving forward. In closing, I'd like to thank you all again for the opportunity to present today. It's been the toughest 19 months that restaurants and bars have ever faced. There's light at the end of the tunnel, but there's still a lot of challenges we face to get there. It's going to be America 2.0. The IRA has appreciated the work that ILCC has done to really work with our industry to find solutions. My team and I are going to continue to push for more legislative, regulatory, and financial relief at all levels to help restaurants and hospitality businesses. We are glad to be a partner and resource to the ILCC as you consider ways to support the restaurant and hospitality industry of Illinois. I'm glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Sam. Toya, anyone have any questions for her?
I do. Hi, Sam.
How are you?
Can you explain the ghost kitchen a little more? That's the first time I heard that.
Sure. So let's take a brick and mortar restaurant, right? And they have, like I said, Sam's Italian in it, and they're doing third-party delivery. But now, so you go on the website, right, and you see Sam's Italian. But then I start Sam's Burgers. Now I'm doing Sam's Italian, Sam Burger out of the same brick and mortar location. There's two different menus out there on the social media. But I have one kitchen doing both. And then, you know, the DoorDashes or the Uber Eats or the Grubhub will deliver it. There's other places doing this, like they'll start a business and they're not a business. They're not a brick and mortar. All they do is they want to do, they've even set up like big containers where they can do different delivery and just call it whatever, which hurts the brick and mortars. We saw in the retail industry a lot of, People are buying their clothes online now. So if we don't regulate these, ghost kitchens, we could lose a lot more restaurants renting out commercial spaces. And neighborhoods like Chatham, Little Village, Jefferson Park, Rogers Park, we could see more empty storefronts. So we want to figure out how, we work with the brick and mortars to do these ghost kitchens, because they might have a dining room in front and then, different menus on the social media. So does that explain a little better?
I got one more question.
Shoot.
This is a long term, I guess, look at the industry. I'm trying to figure out your pipeline for onboarding waiters and waitresses. I'd really love to see more African American waiters and waitresses in especially our downtown establishments.
Absolutely. I've talked to quite a few people about that. We work with the Chicago workforce as well and do job, outreach for, job placement. And, we love to, I know that right now, all restaurants, I don't care, Central Business District, Gold Coast, River North, they're lacking servers. So, I tell people, let's get them in there. Let's get them, go apply for the jobs, because the jobs are there. Yes, but I agree with you. We got to keep reaching out. It's a very diverse industry. More females work in the industry than males. 52% of people that work in the hospital restaurant are females. And yes, it's a very diverse industry, and we need to see more women and women of color, and moving up the total pole. Yep, into leadership roles. I agree.
Just a comment for Sam. Please, Sam, how you doing? I agree with his Chicago gourmet comment. If you've never been to it, you're missing it.
I've been.
It's
Great.
fantastic.
Yeah. What do you think, Commissioner Gibbons? Good? Chicago gourmet? I tell you, I don't care what they say in South Beach or Pebble Beach, right here, 4th weekend in September. We are the culinary capital of the United States. It's not San Francisco or New York. They think it is. San Francisco's that big, and New York, okay, maybe they might be able to debate with me, but we have as many Michelin star restaurants as they do per capita. So.
All right, thank you so much. Anybody else?
I guess just a comment, I just wanted to say thank you for bringing up that we can be clear in our FAQs on our website. I saw the executive director taking notes, so that's definitely something that
Oh, yeah.
I know we'll be working on.
The director has been very, very good. She believes, like I do, communication is the key to success, so thank you,
Yeah,
Director.
I saw her
Appreciate that.
jotting down. So
Yeah.
she
Yes,
did.
I saw that out of the corner of my eye too as well. So, all right, great.
All right,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Moving on, are there any members of the public who wish to address the board at this time? It would appear that there is no one ready to address the board today. We're going to move on to the appeals. We have two. Avi, your record, no back, all right, no back.
Oh. Yeah, so we have one appeal to deal with and 2 tax cases. So let's start with the appeal. That is SBX Management Corporation doing business as Skybox versus the City of Harvey. This matter has been kicking around for quite a while. I don't know, do you need me to give you a summary of what's happened, or?
Yes.
Okay. So the Skybox applied or tried to renew their license in March of 2020 for the 2019-2020 period. It was denied for failure to produce books and records, failure to list hours of operation, failure to show evidence of workers' comp insurance, and failure of the principals of the corporation to be fingerprinted. They filed a timely appeal with the ILCC about 10 days later. It took another 7-8 months before the record was filed. And then we started having our status hearings. SBX appeared at the status hearing on January 8th of 2021 and asked for time to look for counsel after their counsel had withdrawn from the case in December. They were giving a number of continuances. Nobody showed up at the status hearing in February of 2021. I think that subsequent to that, they missed another 2 or 3 status hearings, and then eventually the city filed their motion to dismiss. There was a little bit of a twist that I don't even think I'm going to get into. If you're interested, I'll do that. But the motion to dismiss was filed at the end of August. I believe, we sent out our notice of hearings to SBX Management on August 23rd, informing them that if they did not appear on the September 10th commission meeting date, they would likely, the motion to dismiss would likely be granted. No one did show up on that day, and here we are.
Very good, thank you, Noel.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to dismiss case 20 APP 05?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Secretary Driscoll, please call the roll.
Commissioner Stan Cooper,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbons,
Yes.
Commissioner Malfa,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Powell,
Yes.
Commissioner Polito Sanchez,
Yes.
and Chair Bird.
Yes. Motion carries. Moving on to the tax cases.
All right, first up, we have Mis Tres Potrillos Mexican Restaurant in Parksburg, citation number 22SR0003. They failed to file sales use tax returns for the period of April 21 through August 21. Failed to make tax returns during that time. They have been cited to appear for tax violations on 1 previous occasion. They have had 1 insufficient funds issue. When this matter was up on October 7th, they did appear and they said that they expected to file returns very soon and pay the taxes due. The hearing officer on October 7th recommended a revocation with a 30-day stay, so the revocation would be effective on November 6th, 2021.
So what does that mean? Does that mean that if they pay before November 6th, they're?
That's correct. If they pay off what they owe and file their tax returns, then the revocation will be vacated, essentially.
So our motion in turn would be to honor the administrative law judge revocation effective until November 6th, 2020.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Is it a motion?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Motion?
I'll second.
Motion and second, been moved and seconded. Secretary Jersey, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Stan Cooper,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbons,
Yes.
Commissioner Malfa,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Powell,
Yes.
Commissioner Polito Sanchez,
Yes.
and Chair Bird.
Yes, motion carries.
The second tax matter in the last one of the day is Cafe Billiards LLC of Lincoln, Illinois, citation number 22SR0002. They failed to pay sales use tax, failed to pay sales use tax for the periods of February 2020 through May 2021 in the aggregate of $46,094.01. And they failed to file their sales and use tax for August of 2021. They have been cited for tax violation on 1 previous occasion. They have had no prior insufficient funds incidents, and they have not been on a payment plan with the department. They did make a $12,000 payment on the day of the hearing, which is October 7th. Nonetheless, the hearing officer did recommend revocation of the license effective November 30th. So they gave them a 30-day stay to come into compliance after the service of the order.
November 30th and November 6th.
November 6th, I'm sorry.
I should have asked this earlier, I just wanna know, is there any indication, so is this communicated to the restaurants? And do we have any indication of whether or not they think that's reasonable?
Well, I don't know whether they think that's reasonable. They did show up at the hearing on October 6th, I believe, and made the $12,000 payment. Whether or not they think it's reasonable, I could not tell you.
And do we know if they have an opportunity to ask for some sort of payment plan at this point?
You know, I don't believe that they gave them that option. I'm not positive from looking at the proposal for a decision here.
How does that process work? Is that something that they themselves would have to ask for? Is that part of something that's offered? I just want to make sure that, given especially the times that we're living in, that they're given the opportunity to.
Sure. And once again, I think to answer my question, I'm going to reach back to my people. Rick or Avi, do you?
Yeah, sure. Commissioner, it's typically left to the discretion of the Department of Revenue. And if you think about it, it's in the Department of Revenue's interest that they, if they can, to put them on a payment plan, because that's the best way they're going to be able to collect what they think is owed. Typically, they're given a couple of different chances to go on that payment plan, and then there are sometimes when the retailers may default on that, and so they kind of re-up it and then try it again. And by the time it gets to the liquor revocation process, they've been through that a number of different times sometimes. Even after, let's say in this case, if they haven't, the Department of Revenue does still have the discretion to have their own collection mechanism, and that may include a payment plan.
Okay, so I guess we don't know if this was offered in this situation, and I say that because, especially for this one, you said that there's no evidence that they've been on a payment plan before. So I don't know, I just want to make sure that maybe we just make a suggestion, and I'm not saying we're not moving this forward. But that just, I just want to make sure that it's equitable at that time as well. That's it.
Sure.
I have a follow-up to Commissioner Ramata's question. Also, I noticed these dates are kind of aligned with the pandemic. And did the state offer any consideration for those months in terms of the penalties and interest that was charged?
Once again, I cannot tell you what happened during that period of time as far as their discussions with the Department of Revenue. I don't know what their practice was during that period of time. And again, do you guys have any idea?
I don't, other than to say that this is revenue that they would have collected and just failed to remit the sales tax for that. I understand that it's during the pandemic, it would have been difficult. I understand.
They didn't pay for 15 months. 15 months they didn't pay, correct?
That's, yeah.
And then my only question is, the licensee said that they were going to file the unfiled and pay the day of the hearing. Do we know if that ever happened? It's no consequence to what I'm going to vote on. I'm just curious.
From what I understand, they did make a $12,000 payment on the day of the hearing. But once again, I'm just getting that from looking at the proposal for a decision.
Yeah, no, the licensee also stated that the unfiled return would be filed and paid on the day of the hearing. Is that the 12,000? Was that another payment?
No, I think that's another payment.
That's what I was referring to. Okay.
The hearings were suspended for the better part of 15 months during the pandemic. So if that's helpful, the Department of Revenue was not conducting these during the height of the pandemic last year.
And one last question, the $12,000 payment was made, is that on the 2019? What's the date of that payment?
The date of the payment?
October 7th.
Yes, October 6th, probably.
Are we as a commission able to send this back to the Department of Revenue and say that we might defer this decision until they work out a possible payment plan?
Well, I guess you can do whatever you want. What the Department of Revenue will do is kind of another matter, but once again, I'm gonna.
It's effectively a thumbs up or thumbs down at this time. You can defer your vote until the next meeting. And so the revocation will not go into effect until you actually vote to revoke the license. And we can reach back out to the department and ask for more information to be able to provide to you at the next meeting.
So this business is still operating, right?
Well, I did not look into their licensing situation to see if we have notes in our system as to whether anybody's been out there to check to see whether they're operating or not. That they might be, they might not be. I cannot tell.
Their license is still in effect. It's like
It is.
DOJ's ruling.
Yes,
It's still
and
November 6th.
right,
If they're open, we don't know that. But
That's
their
correct.
license is in place.
that's right, yeah.
One other question, if we rule today to uphold what's proposed, would they have the ability, the business, to then go back to the Department of Revenue and say, can we get a payment plan, can we work this out?
Well, once again,
They can always go back, it's the department's discretion to give it to them, but yes, the answer to your question, and they can pay between now and the rest of the 30-day period that they have, and then even after the license is revoked, they can decide to pay at that point, and then if they pay in full, the revocation would be vacated, and they would be back in business.
Or if they established a payment plan with the department,
That's correct,
they could avoid the revocation on November 6th.
that's correct.
Anyone want to make a motion, one way or the other? Affirm the decision of the
I
judge or defer the decision of the judge?
I'm in the place where we affirm the decision of the ALJ. The owners go back to the Department of Revenue and work on a payment.
I'll second that, Commissioner.
Very good.
Maybe that's where the restaurant association can
yeah.
give us some advice.
Yeah. All right, so there's been, motion on the table. It's been moved and seconded. Secretary Jers, please call the roll.
Commissioner Span Cooper,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbons,
Yes.
Commissioner LaMalfa,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Powell,
Yes.
Commissioner Polito Sanchez,
Yes.
and Chair Bird.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Great debate there. Sounds like they did have a grace period, but, we don't know for sure. 15 months, you think, Rick?
They haven't conducted hearings, at least for over a year.
Okay, item number 8, receive comments from board. Does any board member have any comments at this time? It would appear that the board has no comments at this time. I definitely want to thank Sam Toya for coming and bringing light on all the restaurant issues that we've been having. It's been very difficult for them, I understand. And Michelle, I'm also excited about the College Town Summit, for tuning in. It was great the past 2 years in attendance. I think it's a very important event that we hold. And, yeah, that's all I have. Item number 9, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting of the ILCC?
Motion. I'll
Been moved
second.
and seconded.
So you second?
I second it.
Yeah.
Made the motion.
Okay, Commissioner Span Cooper,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbons,
Yes.
Commissioner LaMalfa,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Powell,
Yes.
Commissioner Polito Sanchez,
Yes.
and Chair Bird.
Yes, motion carries. We are adjourned. Our next meeting is Wednesday, November 17, 2020, here in the Daily Plaza Suite. Thank you, everyone.